There, reporting for the Journal.
Miles, what is that on your head?
Well, Rebecca, have you ever gotten your hair done expecting to look like $1 million and came out looking like, well, you're $2 short of a Toonie Tuesday combo?
Yeah, I've had that happen to me before, but I'm careful now where I go to get my hair done. I always go to the same hairdresser.
Thanks, Tips. But of course, many of us had to go through this the hard way. I did my own investigation and compared getting your hair done at a professional barber versus my friend's basement. Let's roll the tape.
Many a time, whether I really should fork out $20+ to get my hair cut at a natural salon, or whether it's better just to get it cut at a friend's house. This week on Consumer Report, I'm going to take you behind the scenes as we profile two barbers. The first barber being Fitz, who works out of his home and charges only $10. The second being Mark, who just recently opened up his own shop in Markham and charges $15 per cut.
Started cutting hair like 15 years ago still. It was just a thing I just felt I always had a little natural knack for, you know. Started in the hood, cutting all the little hood rats and whatnot, you know, giving them some messed up fades. There was a lot of trial and error, but eventually I kind of got a swing with it. Started working in the salon for like 8 years. And I retired early because it kind of started to get on my nerves. Started cutting in my house. That started to get on my nerves, stopped that. And now I'm right back in it. Full steam ahead, you know?
I needed a haircut. So I said to my friend, yeah, I need a haircut. So he said, let's go to the barbershop. I said, I have no money to go to the barbershop. So what he said was, his dad got clippers at the house. So I said, let's go play with the clippers. So I got to school the next day, and we're like, yo, where'd you get that haircut? I said, yo, I cut it myself. People seem to appreciate the cut that I did, and they said, you know what, let me get a cut. So I used to cut hair in the cafeteria. Used to cut hair in the bathroom at school. It just ended up a thing like that. That's how I just became this. That's how I got started, really.
The best part of cutting hair is the benefits. A lot of fringe benefits, you know. You're cutting people from police officers to lawyers, doctors, teachers. You got a link for everything when you're finished, you know what I mean? And the look on their face when they're done. Some of them come in looking a little busted and they leave looking tight. I like to know that when they leave they feel confident, you know?
The best part of cutting hair for me is transforming people from what they were to who I make them after they leave my house. So the before and after, seeing what I've accomplished at the end of a cut.
Now that you know the barbers, let's see what they themselves had to say about the issue at hand.
Everybody usually starts out of their crib. But the difference between the two, I mean, you're in a totally different environment when you're in a shop as opposed to being home. The lighting is very important when you're cutting hair. Those things are very crucial. I mean, it is like an evolution, though. You start at your crib, and then you work your way into a salon and get into different types of hairs and different type of fades and whatnot. When you're cutting at home, you're usually just doing a one-dimensional type of cut, which is whichever two boys you might have coming by, you know?
And the overhead situation is a lot different, whereas nappies or any other barbershop, they gotta cover the cost of rent for their building. They gotta cover the cost for all their electricity and whatnot, whereas mine is in my home, so all those overhead expenses are already covered by me just paying my mortgage and my utilities.
I mean, when you're at someone's house, it's more of a you can't just be open to the public at your house. You know what I mean? You're in a shop. We got the PlayStation here. We try and make it as homely as possible. I just think it's a different environment. It's a different vibe. You know what I mean?
I guess the most drama I've ever been through is completing a person's haircut and then them being very particular about how they want their cut to look. A 20-minute, 30-minute job gets turned into a 2-hour job because they just get very vain and particular with little intricacies of their haircut that they want.
The tight fade, man. That tight lineup and that tight fade. That's what it is. I mean, I'm just anal. Like I could have 10 men waiting for me, and I'm gonna take an hour on your head if I got to make sure it's looking tight when you leave. I ain't leaving no corner untouched, you know?
Like Mark and Fitz said, there's really no difference where you get your haircut. It matters who's giving the haircut. So keep that in mind the next time you're gonna go get yourself a little trim.
Global warming and Mother Nature threw us a curveball this year. And a lot of us were confused about how to dress for the weather, how to plan a weekend. And one crucial concern was what to do with our leaves. Yes, that's right, I said leaves. Haley went around and found out what people did and how they handled this once seasonal problem.
Ah, summer. Beautiful birds, wind blowing the leaves in the tree. But what happens when fall doesn't come when we all plan? What if it comes too late? We only have till November 30th to put out our leaves. I asked some people around my neighborhood what they will do with their leftover leaves.
We put them out every time that they allow us, which is only every second week in the summertime, because it's not just leaves, it's also garden debris, such as twigs, branches off trees, things like that. So we put them out every 2 weeks in the summertime when they allow us. Spring and fall, they allow you every week for about 6 weeks, I think it is. We put them out every week, at least half a dozen bags. We do compost, but there's far too many because we usually have about 36, 40 bags a year.
I talked to Rob Goss, a garbage man from the city. I asked him what we could do now that they won't pick up our leaves.
Some of the alternatives you can do is put them in one of the paper bags and leave them in your garage, but once a week or twice a week you should shuffle up the bag just so there's no not a lot of moisture or mold gets into the bag or that. If you don't feel like doing that, you can just mulch them up with like any of your household, mulch that you can get from like Home Depot or Rona, and mulch them up, put them over your garden to keep the moisture in your garden, stop, stuff coming up like grass and all that through your garden, keeps the flowers good and all that. For the winter or fall, some of the things that you can do for your flower gardens and your vegetable gardens and all that, you can spread some leaves, either mulch leaves or full leaves, over the garden to keep the moisture in it, to help out your flowers, your plants, your vegetables, etc., whatever you're growing into the garden. You want to spread at least 15 centimeters, which is equivalent to 6 inches, on your flower beds.
It insulates it in the winter so that I don't have to put any burlap or anything down. If you put a thick layer of leaves, then it gives your flowers a good insulation over the winter.
I like to take them off the grass because I find it hurts the grass if they're left there in the spring. They get all wet and soggy and the grass doesn't get a chance to grow. So we usually try and keep them in an area where there's no grass growing.
If they don't want to leave it in their garage in the paper bag or spread it over their garden, or if you guys just don't have the time to do that, either you can take it to the dump, you can take it up to a designated area. I believe there's a couple of them outside of the city limits where you can take them, leave them there, they'll burn them for you. That way it's handled carefully and it gets put in the right spot and it's all good for the environment.
No, I'm not going to use my gas to get rid of leaves. They should have extended the picking up of the leaves, seeing as they fell late in the year.
There you have it. You could burn them, store them, leave them, or use them in your flower beds. Or if you have money for gas, you can drive to the dump yourself. I hope that helps you out. I know it helped me. I'm Haley Dunn, reporting for the Journal.